are an incredible ambassador for Bowel Cancer Australia, and you got into that role because you experienced it firsthand with your family, your beautiful older sister, who's so young, and you automatically go, too young.
Too young.
For that won't happen. Oh no, talk me through when you found out that your sister was diagnosed with bowel cancer.
Yeah, well, she'd had a rough run. She's when she was 26, she lost her little girl Emily. So she basically carried Emily full term and went into labour in Swan Hill Hospital, which is a little town. She's a school teacher, and yeah, I remember I was working at Wagga at Wynn at the time, and Dad called me and said, this is kind of the start of it, and said, Sarah's lost Emily, and it was horrendous, and we all went, and I remember people saying to me at the time, but thank God that she wasn't like 2 or 3 years old, because that just would have been really hard. And I say to people who say that to me, if you were at the funeral where that little girl's casket, and my big sister got up and said, Mummy's so sorry that she couldn't save you, and Mummy loves you, and Mummy will see you soon. The bond that, and I don't know it because I don't have children, but the bond that a mother forms with a child over that 9 months, as my sister tells me, you cannot, the pain that she felt, you cannot say is any less than someone who lost a 1-year-old or a 6-month-old. So I used to get really frustrated with that. Not that anyone means any malice by it, but yeah, so that was, and it took, we all wanted Saz to move back to Canberra where we could support her, but Emily's buried in Swan Hill, so she goes to her grave every day and, visits. It's her little girl, so she'll never leave her. So you think, and it's been 7 years now, so you kind of think that just shows you, that. So she'd had a rough trot, and that's, anyway, so a couple of years after that, she got pregnant again, which was beautiful, and, it was really hard because she, obviously it brought back a lot, and the entire pregnancy, she was terrified because of what had happened with Emily. And anyway, she started to not feel well during the pregnancy. And as any woman would do, they'd think, it's just a side effect of the pregnancy. Or, she attributed it to things like maybe my diets, I should cut gluten out. She went to doctors and they said, just eat less bread and I'll do all this kind of stuff. Anyway, she gave birth to Angus, and then she was not okay. And Angus is beautiful, healthy, this gorgeous little boy. She already had Sophie before Emily, so Sophie was kind of 5 at this stage. And she, went in, gave birth, and then they said something's not right. And then I remember sitting in the hospital with her, and the doctor came in and said, we've got the test results back, and it's stage 3/4 bowel cancer, which is pretty bad. And it's just mind-numbing,
Of course.
Did I get that saying mind-numbing? I didn't do your skin
so.
mind-numbing. Anyway.
I know
and
what
it was,
you mean.
yeah, but she was just, amazing. I've never, I fell apart, my mum fell apart, everyone just kind of, but she was the one that was just so strong and so resilient throughout this whole thing, and, just incredible. And what made her sad, I think, she couldn't hold Angus for 6 months, because she had her bowel removed, then she was getting chemo, radiotherapy, all this stuff.
And how old was Angus at this stage?
Angus was just born, so a month or something when all this was happening. God. And Sophie was,
as if this woman hadn't been through enough.
No, exactly. So then she was
for
one
lifetime, then to deal with this.
And I remember when I did, this is what killed me when I did, the story with her years after, because she didn't tell us how scared she was at the time, because she just was more concerned about us being okay. But she said to me when I sat down with her a couple of years ago, she said, at the time, she said, I thought, I've got these 2 beautiful children who I love and I would never want to leave, but she said, if it's my time, then at least I'll be with Emily. And she said, they'll have their dad. And she said, at least I can go and be with my other baby, and she won't be alone. And I just, the fact that she was thinking that and couldn't communicate that to us, because she would never even say that she was scared or that she'd even contemplated that it might not work out. And you just think she went through all that alone because she didn't want us to be sad or to think that she was, because it's almost worse than what I got upset about was thinking about her being scared and upset more than anything else. And so she was so conscious of that. So she hid all that throughout. But that's the thing, I sit here and I cry, and then I'm like, well, God, we are the luckiest people in the world, because you know, she has a colostomy bag and she's fine now. So that's why people say, oh, it's amazing, all the stuff you do to raise awareness. I'm like, if she hadn't have lived, I don't know if I would be strong enough, you know.
But she's a miracle.
But she's, you know, she's alive. So it's almost my God-given duty, I think, now to use every platform I can to spread the message and to save other lives. And, you know, a young girl, I went to a funeral yesterday for a 27-year-old who discovered she had bowel cancer after watching our story, and her dad contacted me, and I then contacted her, and we you know, spoke once a week on the phone about her treatment, and she passed away last week, and went to her funeral. And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, she is no more worthy, you know. My sister is a beautiful person, and this girl was, and my sister's no more worthy of living than she is, you know. And to see her dad get up there, and her dad said the most beautiful thing. He said, you know, in this life, he said, I want to talk about Katie, but I can't, because he said, I just won't be able to. He said, but I read this the other day. He said, it's an ancient Indian saying, and it says that in this life, you die twice. He said, you die when you take your last breath, and then you die when people stop saying your name and stop talking about you. And he said, please don't let her die twice. Like, talk about her, love her. And it's like, that's just so beautiful. And they got an extra 12 months with her because they saw the story and they got tested, and it's so curable if you find it. So, you know, that's, as I was saying earlier, with skin cancer, we grow up, slip, slop, slap. With smoking, you know, we grow up and we get told, don't smoke, you'll get lung cancer. With breast cancer, we get told from a young age, check your breasts, do breast tests. No one talks about bowel cancer because it's gross. It's poo, it's bums. You don't go for coffee with your girlfriend and say, my bowel movements haven't been regular this week. So people have the symptoms, but have no fucking idea what they mean. They say, oh, I'll go off wheat, or I'm just going through a phase, I need more fibre. You know, but the more awareness we raise, the more people actually think, actually maybe, because 98% of people can be cured. That's so high.
More people can be cured from it as well than will pass away from it.
Totally, so and that's why the stats are in everyone's favour. All we need is for people to just think, maybe, and you know what, it's probably not. 99% of cases it won't be, but get tested. And eliminate
sometimes
that.
You probably go, oh, it's a bit dramatic to, you know.
Totally. And we're all guilty of it.
Absolutely.
Of saying, oh, I don't want to be one of those people that, you know, I hurt my finger and I think I've got, you know, cancer. But it's just eliminate the possibility so that not only you, but your family, you know. So it's, I'm really passionate about that.
And you are doing such an incredible job. And I told you that my mum has bowel cancer, and she got it about 4 years ago now, about maybe 3.5 years ago, and she was just having tummy pains, and she ignored it. And then got,
as we're all guilty of.
Totally. And also, you don't, you know, she looks back now and kicks herself. Why didn't I check it earlier? You know, the what ifs and. And then we got it taken out, and he's like, it's all clear. I got clear margins, and then it came back and went to her liver and her lung. And that her delivering that news on it was Boxing Day a couple of years ago, and it was more scary then than the first time. The first time was kind of like, oh, you know, I've got cancer, but it's gone. It's not really. And I just remember going, my mum's going to die. My mum's going to die. And I remember getting up from mum telling me, I said, I just need a minute. And I walked to the bathroom, and I couldn't breathe. That's when I had a panic attack. And I'm like, I can't live here without my mum. Like, I don't exist without my mum, you know? And then we got rid of it again. It was like, oh my God, for 2 years she was clear. And it's come back on her lung. But they're microscopic. The doctor's like, it's like pinheads. They're like pinheads on your lung
as well, to come like tiny, tiny, tiny.
So
they'll fight that.
And she's having fortnightly chemo, and our doctor is incredible. Our oncologist is so incredible.
But you know, they've done more cancer twice before, and she's come out clear. Her body responds to treatment. That is amazing.
She's amazing.
She is obviously amazing. And she, you know, if it's tiny little things just in her lung, they will beat that.
And we're keeping it at bay, and he's like, let's think of this.
Because you know what, they will be honest with you. The one thing I've found with these surgeons and doctors, it is not in their interest to give you, with Katie, they didn't give her false hope. Probably to her, she wanted them to, and they wouldn't. If your doctor is saying that to you, darling, that is fucking amazing.
And every time we go in there, we hold our breath and the anxiety every 3 month scan. But he's like, let's think of it like diabetes, or rheumatoid arthritis, or something. Like, people, you've got to, if you don't treat that, you're going to die with diabetes. So he's like, we're treating it, and this is your thing. We're going to look at it like that. And every fortnight, my mum goes to chemo, and she gets anxiety around that. But he's working on that, and she's so strong. But like your sister, you know, the other day she said to me, I was just in the shower going, why me? And I hate the thought of my mum doing that on her own.
That's what actually kills you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is thinking about them in pain and thinking about, but you know what, they're the most, it's so bizarre that it happens to the most, because I'm lucky in that if anything happened to her or my mum or my dad, like I just wouldn't, I could not, I guess we all don't know what we're capable of, but I would just fall to, I just could not even fathom it.
Yeah.
But they are just, you know, the people that, you know, if you believe in God or whatever, that, you know, these fights to are just the most incredible people.
Oh my God,
and
so
God,
incredible.
we're fortunate. Yeah.
You know what, like I was saying, speaking to Stace, who works with us here on Show and Tell last night, she was just saying how in love her parents are and how
beautiful. I love
just
it.
the best, you know, and we're going how gorgeous it is, but then it crosses over to going, you get scared when there's when they're so in love, and that's what I think. Like with my mum, she's getting older. Like she's still fucking amazing, but I'm like, oh shit, man, we're all gonna die. Like we're just destined for so much pain at some point.
And it terrified. Like when I was little, I remember used to, like 8 or 9 years old, I'd have this. I went through the stage where I obviously learnt about death and mortality, and going, my mum and dad are gonna die one day. My mum and dad are gonna die, and even like I have to sometimes I can't do it. Even when my granny says, oh darling, when I'm gone, I'm like, Granny, I cannot deal with it. I can deal with some shit, but people dying that I love.
I don't care about myself dying.
Me
I
neither.
never think about that.
The only thing I would be upset about is that my mum and dad and other people would be hurt, which is really quite weird. But yeah, I don't care about that. It's more just other people
around you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it cripples me. Sometimes at night I'll be to my partner Sam, I'm like, life's really scary. And he's like thinking about something else, and I'm just
playing
there
football
going,
that night. Yeah. It's bizarre, isn't it, how sometimes our minds work in that. But it's, you know, but then I guess you just have to embrace it, and that's why you wake up and you just think, we're so lucky.
Totally.
And that's why even with Sarah, I get sad that she's got a colostomy bag and she can't wear a nice dress.
Yeah.
And that makes me sad. I'm like, you're 33, you should feel beautiful, but then I just think, you know what?
You're alive.
You're alive, and we're so lucky.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful.